continuing on the entry of Ish Veisha, a man loving his wife. It says that a person has to be careful not to have anger and hatred towards his wife. He has to accept that his wife was given from Shamayim. Hashem is the one who is Mizavik Zivugim. Hashem, the Gemara Masechet Nida tells us, and the Gemara Masechet Sotah also, that a person's spouse was declared to him before he was born. Before you were born, you already decided who you will be married to. So therefore, a person has to accept it with love from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says, the fum tara agra, according to the suffering is the reward. So therefore, a person has to try to push through. He says, and a big cause of fighting in a man and a woman is Bayit. He says the person should not be so cheap. How do you say cheap? Skupoi, right? Jadne, he says this leads to a lot of fighting. So therefore a person should not be so cheap with his family and medakdik. You shouldn't be so meticulous every single penny, because this will lead to a lot of problems. He says therefore a person should try to bless his wife, because the Gemara says, with money obviously, the Gemara says, the blessing only is in the dome, only in the house, because of the woman. So therefore the Rabbi said, respect your wives in order that you should become rich. Person thinks, maybe I should go and make a side hustle and I'll make more money. The person has to realize, respect your wife more and you will see you'll make more money. You'll become rich. Gula for parnasa. Says the Gemara Masechet Nedarim, Gadol, Shalom, Bayit, Achuta limchok, Hashem Gadol, Yitin Shalom ben ish leishto. Shalom Bayit is so important. Obviously, Shalom Bayit, you have to buy it, right? But Shalom Bayit is so important that Hashem erases his name for the sake of Shalom Bayit. We know in for the Sotah, the Kohen has to write the Parashat Sotah on the parchment. He erases the ink and the water, and he gives the lady to drink in order there should be peace between a man and his wife. So therefore, Rabbi Balanes, the famous story, he gave a long lecture Friday night. The lady came to the lecture, and therefore she came home late, and the husband was upset. What is this? You come home so late. I'm waiting for you to eat the Friday night meal. You come this time? She said, I was in Rabbi Meir's lecture. He said, get out of my house. You're not coming back to my house until you spit in the rabbi's face. So she didn't know what to do. Rabbi Balanes came outside looking for her. He had Ruach HaKodesh, and he said to her, my eye is stuck. Can you put moisture in it? Can you spit in my eye? He made her spit in his eye 7 times, and he said, now you can go home and tell your husband, you didn't spit 1 time. 7 times you spit in the rabbi's face. He said, the student said to him, how can you do such a thing? It's not nice for the rabbi. He said to him, you should know if Hashem erases his name for the sake of Shalom Bayit, Meir Balanes, who is he in order to not keep Shalom Bayit? Of course, you have to do anything to go and keep Shalom Bayit. So therefore he says, part of loving your wife also is Shelo Yarhik Nedod. You should not be far away from your wife. A lot of these wives, they get left alone. They say, oh, every night he's a shashlik. Every night he's yoshvo. Every night he's a wedding. Every night this. I never see the guy. When do I ever see the guy? So therefore, a person has to know part of loving your wife means spending quality time with them. A lot of Chatanim teachers, they teach their new couples. You gotta have date night. You gotta go and take your wife out, and you have to show her you're important. I have a meeting with you. Don't think I only give my attention to my friends and my business and the shul. You're also important. You also I spend time with you. So therefore, he says, and if you can't, he says, at least write them a letter. He says you have to say what? Send them matanot, sometimes gifts. So give them show them you're thinking about them. Send them a text. Right? But they're talking about letters, and this time the actual letters you write. But at least call them throughout the day, once a day, throughout the day. Say, I was thinking about you, something to show them that you did not forget about them. He says another problem with Shalom Bayit is yesh the what? So he says that sometimes they get into a fight about stuff that he doesn't provide for her. But then what happens? They go and what? They go and they tell the family. A lot of times the family gets involved in Shalom Bayit. He says the person has to make sure not to share his personal fights with his ochamo or with his parents, because they get involved. And he says that if the family finds out of they have fighting, they have to make themselves as if they don't know anything. I don't get involved. This is between you and her. Because if you do get involved, then what happens? And it's going to make it worse. And God forbid somebody will say something wrong, and it could lead to the destruction of the house. So the Gemara says, So the Pele is saying that a person over here has to learn to keep his marital issues between the husband and wife and try to talk about it, work it out, and not to get the less people know, the better.